Commander Ashira of Unified Forces of the Outer Galaxies, Newsflash. Everything is in the flow and Ascension is underway. By Linda Dillon. August 30, 2016. Website: counciloflove.com. Produced by Higher Self.
So Ascension is underway. It is not a future event, my friends. It is right here, right now, and each of you is experiencing it in your own unique way, but that expansion of experience is growing daily, hourly. It is the most extraordinary event and transition and shift that has happened in eons.
Ashira, and welcome to all of you. I am Ashira. I am Ashira of Neptune, Commander-in-Chief of the Unified Forces of the Outer Galaxies. I am Ashira.
Susie, welcome.
And thank you beloved ones, all of you, for inviting me back, for welcoming me and my colleagues and my fellow travelers into your home, into your sacred space, to conjoin and sit and stand and walk and simply be with you. Now it is highly unusual. As you well know, we are busy, and sometimes busier than you think. But that does not matter. What matters is this conversation, and this sense of growing unity and community that is taking place between all of us. You have beckoned to us, the same way we have been calling out to you for hundreds, and even thousands of years. But the time is almost inconsequential. Yes, and we know that there is a bit of an obsession about time. But when things are in alignment, when things are already in motion and movement, what happens is this preoccupation with timing, with when, begins to dissipate and in fact disappear. Because in many ways, all of us are too busy attending to the undertaking to worry about anything else. No, we aren't worried about coming together with you. We aren't worried about Ascension. We aren't worried about the shift. We aren't worried about disclosure or when or how this will work because, my beloved friends, it is already well underway, and it has been for some time. But it becomes more obvious and apparent to even those who are in the most serious level of denial. We had agreed that we would talk about Ascension this day, and in fact this is a topic that is near and dear not only to my heart but to all of our hearts. What humanity is undertaking, with a little help, is this process of the restoration, the rebirth, of love upon the planet. Now the Council of Love and the Mother and all the beings of light and love have made this definition of Ascension really simple, for consistently and repeatedly to you and to us they have said, this is about the rebirth and the re-anchoring of love upon the planet. This is about the expansion of heart consciousness through the transformation of that love into the DNA and the human experience. Now while it is monumental, almost beyond imagination, it is also really simple. And for that reason, we tend to focus on that again and again and again, for it brings us back to our purpose in being here rather than in some other quadrant of the multiverse at this time. And yes, while this plan has been in unfoldment for a very long time, what we are focused on is what you would think, and what we think, is of the here and now. So what does this mean for you and for us? The paradigms of your planet, of Gaia, and let us be clear, we don't refer to Gaia herself when I say this, I mean the human paradigm, has taken a very long time. We're talking basically millions of years, not just recent history, for these very strong situations to emerge and to be seen as an explanation of how things work. So these belief systems that are like wisps in the air now, like a foggy day sort of, we don't have foggy days, but anyway, of control and aggression and abuse, and of misuse of authority, of spiritual cancer, have been in place for so long that in many ways human beings really thought, well, this is how you get things done. Someone has to be in charge. Someone has to pull the shots and someone has to obey. That's not how love works. It never has been and it never will be. But long ago when the Mother said to us, as we left our quadrant home base on CCC, we're going to try something different, I'm going to anchor love in form. Now we know an ascension, in your terminology, has taken place out of form. There has been evolution into sheer energy in any number of situations. But to be able to come and assist in the anchoring of love in form in a massive, not only planetary system but very mixed cultures, societies, systems, was seen as a phenomenal opportunity, an opportunity where we could bring our expertise, our love, our belief systems and share them in practical ways. But also to set a pattern, if you will, a new pattern, for what it would look like to have such a realm of high consciousness in body and workability. Now don't forget, you and we went through some very difficult lessons in the intergalactic wars, and it took thousands and thousands and thousands of years, not only for the cessation of those wars, but to find workable solutions. That is how the Intergalactic Council was originally arrived at. But that interweaving of love in what is not a homogeneous system is intriguing and challenging, beautiful and magnificent, and it lays the groundwork, the foundation, for everything that lies ahead. Now I know that you, by the nature of your being, tend to think in terms of decades or centuries. But if you think of what has transpired in the larger picture of what lies ahead when this is accomplished, it is truly such a gift. Now where are you in this ascension process? You made the decision. Some of you don't agree or know or understand. It doesn't matter, that this decision was made some time ago, several years ago now, that you would proceed together, and that you would do so in a level of unity that has not been known upon this planet since the very beginning. Think of this, when the angelics originally assumed form as the creator race. Now, when we use this term creator race, it has connotations that sometimes are taken the wrong way, because it sounds as if it is an aspect of some ascendancy and in control, and that is not it at all. All the creator race does is use the energy of love to create. It's actually quite simple. So you made the decision and you've been in this process, I like to think with our help, in fact, I know with our help, of preparation, and many different segments, very diverse quadrants, have been preparing in different ways. And there has been a very widespread, not only destruction of the old paradigms which is in the final gasps of its reality, but also in the reconstitution not only of belief systems, of heart systems, of expansion, but what it means to be in form. And many of you have experienced this as ascension flu, ascension symptoms, reconstitution right down to your very bones. And some of you have volunteered, yes, volunteered, to play that role perhaps more vigorously than others. But every person upon the planet does and has had a role to play, and the individual and collective heart has been transforming and becoming more open, more accepting, more kind, more loving. It is not about dogma or science, or how intelligent you are, or how much information you have. It's about the quotient of your heart. And most of humanity, think of what I am saying, most of humanity has been opening. Now, about 3 to 4 years ago, the Mother penetrated all of us, including us in the multitude of ships and fleets. She penetrated us with her tsunami of love, and this was expansive and beautiful and it never really quit. And although the Mother is infinite patience, can you imagine? She is eager for this to be completed and so she has sent her tsunami of one. Again, we are experiencing it with you, in different ways obviously, but you are being penetrated, upgraded, attuned, by all the legions, all the angelics, of every tier, if I can put it that way. All the masters, all the gods and goddesses, all your ancestors, are all pushing this energy into your very core, not just into your outer fields but literally into your body. That's why so many of you who are sensitive feel like you're coming out of your skin, because you've never felt this before. Now that's not going to stop either, but the dam is broken. You see, the resistance, oh, and there's been a very active resistance on the part of the human race, make no mistake about it, but that resistance has broken. That's why we're having these conversations. So that is why I say the dam is broken. So that energy, that love, that complete upgrade, is flowing freely. And not just to those who are love holders or light bearers or light workers, to everybody. Now, are there many of you, and most of you are listening to this broadcast, who are ahead of the wave, who in fact jumped the dam and came to our side and helped with the push? Yes. So what I say this day is astronomical news. And you are seeing that breakthrough in every walk of life, in your science, in the awareness and acceptance. The acceptance of our beingness, of our presence, is higher than it has ever been before, so there is no resistance to admission of our presence upon the planet. Now, are we cautious? And I will repeat this, and I know we are talking about ascension, but just to talk to this. We make our presence known in subtle ways and by working through existing framework, science, technology, societal institutions, financial institutions, but everything is in the flow. From our perspective, this is the biggest news flash that we could offer. I think some of you should call Fox News, they would like to be on top of this. So Ascension is underway. It is not a future event, my friends, it is right here, right now. And each of you is experiencing it in your own unique way, but that expansion of experience is growing daily, hourly. Now, having made that my brief introduction, dearest Suzanne, what would you like to say?
Oh wow, I could let you go on and on. It's always wonderful to hear these things, and that is indeed very wonderful news. It feels to me that a great many of us are absolutely ripe with potential and ready to burst with energy to move forward. And that, like you said, it's done. It's like one of the tipping points that we've had, and it's already done. Okay, so our internship is over, you said, and it's time to be calm and serene and hold space. Can you offer any ideas as to how it might look stepping into our new roles? Are we going to be acting as stewards for awakening humanity? And does that also take the focus off of the individual, away from the self, once we're nice and balanced and clear?
I could say yes, yes, yes and yes, but that wouldn't make for much of a show, would it? Let's explain. First of all, each and every one of you is far too precious, far too wonderful, your unique beauty cannot be ignored. So we are never going to say to you, don't pay attention to that bright, beautiful self, because it's also through the attention to self, the internal and the external monitoring of yourself, that everything gets done. But is there a shift in place and underway? Absolutely. You are, and we are your helpers, the Mother's implementation team, plain and simple. And that is amazing. Now we came to help, to build the foundation, to share technology, science, healing, education. You name it, we've got stuff to offer. But you are the implementation team. Now think of it in a really practical way. This is about self-responsibility and collective responsibility. But think of it in this way. If you and, I don't know, two girlfriends or two friends, we are not gender specific, decided to take a trip, and you are in New Jersey, and your other friend is in the Netherlands, and your other friend is in China, and you are all deciding to go and visit New Zealand, you can make the plan, but if you don't implement it, if you don't talk, if you don't choose dates, if you don't book tickets and then actually go, then nothing ever happens, and you don't even have any pictures to show of your trip to New Zealand. So the practical part of this is actually coming into form. And what would motivate you to make those steps? Well, of course, it would be the love of your friends, the desire to absolutely get together, have an adventure, spend time together, because you want to be together, because you miss each other, because it's time. But unless those practical steps are taken and the flights scheduled as it were, then of course it doesn't happen. Now, I hear some of you, and some very particulars, saying, well, when should we schedule our trip? Schedule it right now. So let's be practical though. Before you get to the point of booking the trip, what's present is the love for each other. Otherwise, there would be no motivation, there would be no desire to see each other, to come together, to have a new adventure, to share the fun. Because I can't tell you how much fun this is. Are we working? Yes. And is it the greatest fun ever? Yes. So first comes the love, but then, inside of that, or with that, or tandem to it, partner to it, however you want to think of it, is this determination, an act of will, and an assumption of responsibility. Now you can't, not in the new realm, you can't assume responsibility, not in the way of New Earth or Nova Human, if in fact the love isn't there, because it would simply be a reversion back to the old paradigm, and heaven really does know, we don't want that. So what happens then is you divvy it up, right? You say, okay, I'll check out the flights, you check out the itinerary when we're on the South Island, the third person will figure out what we need to bring. So you all assume responsibility according to, not just because you love one another, but what your specialities are. Some of you are better on computers, some of you are better at dreaming up the best adventure, some of you are busy packing homeopathics, ignoring what we have to offer. But you get what I am saying. But first comes the love, so the love quotient is there and it's flowing.
It is. I have to say that I feel I am having fun now. It used to feel like this ascension process was kind of a suffering thing and we just had to get through it. But there's so many synchronicities happening in my life, people stepping in, information coming my way and everything just falling into place. It's like having the parking space fairy be available for me all the time. I really am having fun, so thank you. Whatever part you guys play in it, I am eternally grateful.
Well, you are welcome. And do you know how long and far a thank you goes? When a thank you is made, it's broadcast not only on my ship, my home base, but throughout the fleets. So a grateful heart. If there is anything that we look for, we're not talking about IOUs or a formal welcome or a thank you. Is all we want. That and the welcome mat, and both are there.
Absolutely.
So we have already, I shall use this word, infiltrated your society. But I also want you to know, many of you, as I mentioned in our last time together, have infiltrated us as well. And we couldn't be happier. But it's time now for you and we taking the next steps. Now, you are the implementation team. We have been setting things up, yes. The channel has spoken to you privately about how we catch bombs, how we disperse chemtrails, how we plant technology, all this we've been doing so that you don't need to worry about it. That's our job, that's part of what we can happily take care of. Let me just make an aside about this issue of responsibility and will. I call myself Commander-in-Chief, actually, I very rarely call myself Commander or Commander-in-Chief. But that's the title and it goes with the job. But our roles are defined by, yes, the assumption of self-responsibility, and with the collective that assumption of who does what best. We use authority. It is more self-governed than what you have, in the old paradigms of Earth, thought of as authority or as an expression of will, because it is collegial, it is collaborative. I don't order my captains or commanders or anybody to do anything. There is an assumption of authority and that particularly telepathic communication, let alone our communication systems are slightly more advanced than yours, but it is based on the willingness, and not only the willingness, the love that we share. So nobody would dream of not doing. And if for some reason they needed a break, a vacation, a quasi-sick day, of course it would be arranged to spell one another. We are not obsessed with work. Have we been working overtime and diligently helping to get things organized for the number of things that are unfolding, all of them on your planet? Yes. But that's only to make this transition more smooth. So we are so willing to do that. So now we are saying for humans, with the kindness of their hearts according to what they feel passionate about, not ho-hum, that never works, but what they feel passionate about, to simply do and perhaps expand, adopt a new direction, begin to put into place what has been asked of them not only by the collective, not only by us, but by their own soul awareness. So it's not about some future event, because now we're talking, thank goodness, right here, right now.
Yes, yes. And I have a feeling that we're having this conversation, of course, because resistance is broken as you said, and because our meeting grows ever more near, which we're all looking forward to.
You and us both.
I've seen pictures lately of, and you know with Photoshop masters, you just really never know, pictures of tubes of light right from the sky down into the earth. Is that really happening? Could you say anything about that?
Yes, and this is part of the tsunami of one. This is energy of a quotient, it's also. Think of it as a teleportation device. So it is being used with great regularity. Now, they have been used for some time, but now what we are doing is allowing people to see them. So, much is happening. These tubes of light, sightings, very clear sightings of our ships, encounters with your star family, your presence at the Intergalactic Council, and various, shall we say, committees would be your term I guess. So this is already underway. There will be growing awareness. You have recently. Your science community is discovering all of a sudden that there are many planets that are available on similar to Earth. We say we are laying the pattern for this expansion to other planetary systems. Do you not wonder where these planets are? You are already receiving the signals via SETI for our communications, again another way for human beings in a scientific manner to know that there is a communication from abroad. So, all of these are happening so that the human beings get very comfortable with the idea. Now, at the same time as they are getting a greater comfort level, their hearts are expanding, so their openness to this has expanded, oh, incomprehensibly.
Yes, beautiful. I'm so happy. Well, I think we're probably close to being out of time, although I haven't actually been paying attention to that. If you have more to say, I would just welcome that and say thank you.
You are so welcome. Let us bring you back to this ascension process because it is important. It's probably, and Archangel Michael is correcting me, which is always interesting. It is the most extraordinary event and transition and shift that have happened in eons. Now, if I was human, I'd be really impressed with myself. So I want you to feel that sense of extraordinary pride, in the humblest of ways, and I want you to feel our gratitude that you actually volunteered to be the Mother's implementation team. Now, the ascension for all of you. Conscious or unconscious, subconscious, it matters not, it doesn't matter what path you've taken. Has been a process of heart awareness growing. But there does come a moment, and it is a moment, when we all experience what you can visualize as a flipping of the switch. Now many of you, especially those who are listening, have been traveling in and out of that ascension portal for ages. But there comes a moment in terms of what you think of as the shift. That momentary impulse takes place. Now, in other situations, think of Halion or Tralana, which I know you are both familiar with, where, at a moment in time, all beings left their bodies and assumed sheer energy. Now that was a huge coordination, and that was a coordination where everybody was basically at the same vibratory rate. Think of what is the next step in your ascension, which is the throwing of the switch as it were, where all the energy is anchored fully into human form. Now you had to get all the upgrades in order to be able to handle this, and I am not talking necessarily to you who are the light workers and love holders community, but think of the man on the street. It would have been too much energy for them to handle, even with the kindest, most loving heart. So these upgrades have taken place and now you are getting ready. But I tell you, it is underway.
Yes, yes. So September is going to be a big month for us, isn't it?
It already is.
Okay. I feel the 22nd is very big, but I'm sure that there are other things happening. Okay, so dare I ask? The event that's always spoken of, like a cross-cultural thing that there's an event coming, is it really like a blink of an eye kind of event, or like a series of things such as we've been experiencing?
It is more of a series of things and a singular event, so it is both. But you have been experiencing a series of things.
Yes, yes, yes. And it used to be an up and down, and now it's pretty much just straight up. But there's no let up, it's just increased frequency all the time.
You have a new normal. There is already a new normal upon your beautiful planet, and we feel it. The harmony, yes, even with all these silly things going on, the harmony is beautiful and it is rising. So it is not the individuals who are still acting out their little dramas that need to be paid attention to. This is coming from the collective, the same way your decision to ascend together came from the collective. It was not the decision of an old autocrat saying, "You will do this." It was all of your hearts saying, "Yes, we believe in